Toledo's legendary own son of art, writing. I think you do art.
I can't even draw a crooked line. I can't even draw. I can't even draw. In fact, you know what I'll do is I'll talk about how to work with artists in the comic creating process. I think I'll do some of that stuff.
Go for it.
Word. How's it going?
Good.
Great.
All right, no, let's try that again. Let's try again. I mean, we got like 45 minutes together tops. If you can tolerate me that long, and I don't want to start our time together that way. So let's do it one more time. How's it going?
Great.
Yay! Good. Now I know people are here. All right. Just kind of get a poll of the room so I kind of know who's who and what's what. How many of you are interested in writing? How many of you are artists? Okay. Writer-artist together? Miscellaneous? Just want to sit down and take a break? Yeah. All right. Well, a little bit about myself, and we'll talk about some things here. As mentioned, my name is Dirk Manning. I think deep thoughts. I'm the writer-creator. I was actually born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. Yeah, it's like a homecoming for me, man. This is really cool. You know, this is really exciting. You know, to come back. As we all know, this is I think the first Comic-Con the town's had in like 25 years or something like that. So this is just absolutely fantastic, and I'm really excited to be here. A little bit about myself, kind of what I do, things like that. As I said, my name's Frank Cho, and this is How to Draw Women, the Frank Cho way. With no, I'm just kidding. I don't draw.
I forgot that book.
Yeah, it's a great book.
It's a good book.
I was just telling someone, if you ever like get the Frank Cho book on drawing, if you all know Frank Cho, he's kind of like a cheesecake artist, and
Yeah.
you open up the table of contents, and somebody showed it to me. So you open the table of contents, and it says boobs, butts. And that's it. Then you turn the page, it says, just kidding. You know, it's like this great technical book. But no, I can't draw. So my name's Dirk Manning. Born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. So that's just really cool to be here, to be back at the first comic show in 25 years. And big ups to Fantasticon for making this happen. So, woo-woo. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Marty, if you're out there. Like I think a lot of you probably, but I knew I wanted to be a writer for as long as I was born. And I love comics. And I love comics not because of the subject matter, but because of the medium. You guys can sit too. There's chairs up here. I won't like throw anything if you want to sit. You're welcome to, I promise. You don't have to. You can stay in the back. The bad kids sit in the back. That's fine. Don't. I look out and like the row right in, like the spot in front of me is like the spot no one wants to. It's like I'm Shamu or something. I'm going to splash people. I didn't mean to humiliate you. I'm sorry. But... So I'm totally going to pick on you now that you're right there. That's going to be perfect. I just wanted someone to talk to the whole time. How you doing? I'll stop. No, I love comics, and I love the medium. And I write, and as I was saying earlier, I don't draw. I can't even draw a crooked line. But I love the medium, and I love the medium of comics. And I was very fortunate and lucky, and admittedly worked pretty hard to get to start creating comics. I've done books for Image Comics. A book called Nightmare World. I'll talk about this a little bit later. This is through Image Comics. They published some other comic you may have heard of called The Walking Dead. I guess it's kind of a big deal. It's like some monster book or something, I don't know. And I've gone on to do other books like Tales of Mystery, Through Devil's Due, Legend of Oz, The Wicked West. They actually did a big write-up on this in the Blade, which was also awesome. I was looking at the newspaper in the town where I grew up, like my mom called me. She's like, you're in the paper, and it's not like the wanted section. I know. Who knew? For Big Dog Inc., who just got bought by Aspen Comics. And I put together this book called Right or Wrong, A Writer's Guide to Creating Comics. And thank you, right on. That's my dad. No, I'm just kidding. He's like, I'm not that old. No, but I put together this book because I always said if I got to the point where I was able to create comics, that I would do everything I could to help other people create comics. And that's why I do these panels and things like this. And the thing I find the most as a writer who can't draw is people talk a lot about how do you get artists to work with you? And what I like to do is I think I'll just talk about that a little bit, and then if you guys have any other questions about the process and things like that, I'd be glad to help you out. But I broke it down to kind of 10 things, and I call it the 10 commandments of working with artists, because one of the things you're going to find is there are artists out there everywhere. If you want to write comics, and you're saying that they're not artists out there are artists in this room with us right now. I won't say who they are because everyone like glom onto them, like, will you draw my book? You can go out to the Comic Con out there, and there's artists everywhere. There's this magical place called the internet where artists gather like unicorns and they're all over the place. Okay? But the key is not finding an artist, it's how to develop a successful relationship with an artist to make comics. So the first thing I tell people, like I said, if we got about the 10 commandments of working with artists, commandment 1, and I will not do the God voice again, is you want to start small. Okay? Very, very important. When you're going to create comics, you want to start small. Now, who in here has a big, giant story they want to tell one day? Be honest. Like, okay, I do too. Like big, But when you're getting started in this process, you have to start small. And the gentleman that letters a lot of the comics I write gave me this great analogy, and I'll share this with all of you. He said, making a comic is like dating. Okay.
Oh, man.
I know. Exactly, which is like double shocking that I can make comics. But he said, you wouldn't go to a bar. No, you don't go to a bar at all. The playground or whatever. And I'm just kidding. Lunch, like at lunch, in junior high. But you wouldn't, if you're in a bar, you wouldn't go up to the prettiest girl or guy in the bar and say, "You are really attractive. Would you marry me?" That's the first mistake a lot of people that want to make comics commit. They will find an artist whose work they like online and say, "I really, really like your art. Would you be willing to write like this big epic story I have, like space, ninja, zombie, pirate, sharknadoes? It's just the greatest thing." And the artist goes, "Think, man, artists always be flaking, yo." No, it's not that the artists you want to work with are flaking out on you whatsoever. It's the fact that you got to start small. We all have big stories that we want to tell, but you want to start small. One of the reasons I had as much success as I did with this series, Nightmare World, is it's all 8-page stories. Because if I saw an artist whose work I would like, an 8-page commitment is like a real date. Let's find out if we can work well together, and let's find out if we like working together. Let's find out if you're capable of dating. Let's find out if we can do this. A lot of people say they want to make comics, but an 8-page story, small. So I tell people, when you're getting started, do 5 to 8-page stories. One of the things that often happens is people will say to me, well, Dirk, I got the big story, space, pirate, ninja, sharknadoes, and You want to start as late in the action as possible and get out as early as possible. We all have stories. The number one thing, like I'm up. Fine, stay down. I am a professional writer. And does anyone have a guess the number one response I automatically get when people say, "What do you do?" And I say, "Oh, I'm a writer." What do they say?
Do you do the drawings too?
Well, that's the second one. They say, "Oh, well, that's why I find I write comics."
Oh.
But they do that too. "Oh, do you draw it too?" I'm like, "No, I can't draw a crooked line." But everyone says, "Oh, I've always wanted to write a book." I'm like, "Oh, what do you do?" "I'm a doctor." "I've always wanted to commit brain surgery. I think I'm going to try that." What, you think I don't practice? You think the words just fall out of me like a faucet? I just sit there and the word, comes out and makes sense. We put a lot of time and effort into the stories we create, even if we haven't written them, even if you've never written a word, but you're a writer in heart, and you're right. I'm writing right now. I'm like writing 3 stories in the back of my mind. Like my operating system's always running. There's like stuff going on. But because we put so much effort into our stories, no one will love our stories as much as we love them ourselves. No one will love our characters as much as we love them. Like this book, Tales of Mystery. I love this man. I know him. He lives in my head at all times. He's always there rattling around, and he's fighting monsters, and he's making self-destructive decisions, and he's just such a cool, tragic guy. You don't know him, unless you read the book. Some of you have. Some of you like mystery. Okay, you're supposed to go like, woo! That's fine.
I'm going to read it tonight.
No. So what you want to do is you want to start as late in the action as possible and get out as early as possible. Tell the third act. Get to the good part. It doesn't matter where mystery came from. What you need to know about this guy, if you've never read this book before, which I do have for sale at my table, it's very good, you might like it. If you like scary, if you don't like scary stuff, don't read this, because I don't want to pay your therapy bill later. It's PG-13. All right, just making sure. We're good, all right. He's like, I watched Saw. I'm like, here you go. Better than me, I don't. What I did with this was mystery, which some of you are probably going, oh, I get it now. Mystery. All right. There you go. Some people are still wondering. He has an origin story like everybody else and stuff like that. But all that I want people to know, you'd be laughing for days about it. Some people say mystery, mystery, tales of mystery. Oh, yeah. All you need to know is that he's a magician that fights monsters. Now that's either going to interest you or it's not. It doesn't matter what he ate for breakfast. It doesn't matter his tragic origins as a young child. Listen, you want to buy this book, you want to see some magician fighting monsters. If you like it, later, as the series gets going, and if it's successful, then we can start to tell his origin story later. But start with the action. So anything you write, start small, start with the best part. You will not get a second chance to make a first impression. Okay? It's true, it's like dating. That's why I was never good at dating. So I was fumbling over my words. I'm like, you be a comic writer someday? And people are like, geek. I'm like, the geeks have inherited the earth now. Start small. Start with the action. Stephen King can put out a dud book. He's written 5,000. We'll give him a pass. If you're just getting started, you're not going to get a pass. Start small, start with the action. And the second thing you want to do, because we're going to be working with an artist, make it worth the artist's while to work with you. Okay? Now, everyone wants to work with good sequential artists. If they're a good artist out there, that's why I didn't point out who the artists are in the room, because the writers glom onto them. But what you want to do is, you want to make it worth their time and their effort to work with you. It's not always about the money. Okay? One of the best things you can do if you're a writer and you want to work with a comic artist, look at their art style and look at what they like to draw. Artists draw because they like to draw. Writers write because we're sick. I can't turn it off. Somebody did something to my brain and it's it's always, going. But, and I think some artists are that way. But you want to look at what they're drawing. One of the biggest things I talk to people about is when I did this Nightmare World book, 13 8-page stories. I would go online, this magical place called the internet, and there's all kinds of communities out there where artists gather like unicorns and they hang out and they share each other's art. And I would say, I would look at someone's art. I'll just pick a random one here. Okay. I saw an artist whose work I liked online. I really liked this artist's work. He's from Louisiana. He drew beautiful women. Yeah. And monsters with tentacles. Yeah. No, not that kind of stuff. Some of you are thinking, ew. No. This was before that was even a thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're better off. And I said to him, hey, writer, blah, blah, blah. I said, if I was willing to show you a script, write a script, a short story that had beautiful women And Monsters with Tentacles, would you be willing to maybe consider drawing that? And we can publish it online, maybe put a little self-published book. You'll have a book to show people, I'll have a book to show people. We can show editors that we can actually make comics and make comics together. And he goes, dude, I love drawing beautiful women and monsters with tentacles. I'm like, I know. He goes, oh, yeah, send me the script. What was my job at that point?
Just send them a script.
About?
Beautiful
women, monsters with tentacles. Now I'm going to tell you a newsflash. That was for you, Amy.
Thank you.
My face breaks cameras. You know, I have this book here, I have a face for radio. You got to think about that one too. This may shock you. I did not have a script I was dying to write about a beautiful women and monsters with tentacles. That was not in my cookbook of things to write about. But I had a story that I could make the monster have tentacles and, make the character a beautiful woman and things like that. So I wrote a script for an 8-page story, and maybe you can see this, maybe not, about a beautiful woman who turns into a monster with tentacles.
Yeah, let's do it.
And he's like, dude! And he drew it. And it was great. And you go from there. I made it worth his while. Because he's drawing beautiful women all the time anyway. And he's always drawing monsters with tentacles anyway. In a 5 to 8 page story, it's not much of a commitment. If he didn't like it, or he didn't like me, or whatever, we could be done. He could move on. He can go on his way. I can go on my way, and that's it. Now, it ends up we liked working together, so he actually did, I think, in the whole Nightmare World series, like 5 or 6 8-page stories. That was a good relation. We worked together quite a bit. We still talk to this day. So you want to make it worth an artist's while to work with you. And I told you a minute ago, it's not always about the money, which is true. But the third thing I tell people is this. You have to be prepared to pay for someone good. Sometimes it's about the money. And there's a couple things. One, if money's involved, get a written record of it, a contract. You don't necessarily have to go to a lawyer. You can if you want. You can download free documents online. But basically just say, you're going to draw my story, just pretend. Like about Groots. So I'm going to write you a Groot story, and you're going to draw it. I'll pay you X amount of dollars a page. I'll give you half up front, half when we're done. Cool? Cool. Send you sign it, send it back to me, you sign it, boom, boom, done. If the artist can't even bother to send you back the signed contract, you're probably not going to get much else from them either, so just stop. The other thing, and that'll be good because that way you're covered. I mean, it's no guarantee, but it's something. And it makes the artist feel better, makes you feel, because... But of course, what a lot of you are thinking right now is, well, I don't have a lot of money to spend on this. When I started my Nightmare World as an online series, I was going to college. The Bowling Green State University. Yeah! Unfalcon believable. Thank you. Good. That one worked. All right, I'm going to stop it on my head. They're the BG Falcons. So it's like
Yeah.
I'll try to stop. I went 3 times. I really liked it. I did. That's the sad thing.